If you're watching this video, I played Assassin's Creed Mirage. What's up everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is Olympus Game Reviews, and today we're going to be unpacking Assassin's Creed Mirage. Before we get started, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out. Assassin's Creed Mirage came out in 2023 for the PS4, PS5, Xbox Series S, Xbox One, and PC. First up, we're going to get into the gameplay. I feel like each Assassin's Creed game, the gameplay varies because each assassin is different. Different moves, different abilities, different combat. The combat, I wasn't too big of a fan of the combat. When you get into a fight situation, the combat just didn't feel smooth to me. And one thing I noticed, because I've played all the Assassin's Creed games, is combat seems to be the consistent issue across all Assassin's Creed games. I think part of that is because each assassin that you've played with throughout the history of the Assassin's Creed franchise, each of them is different. They have a different fighting style, different moves and abilities and weapons and things like that that they use. So I think that over time, Ubisoft never perfected the combat because it's always changing each game. I think if they probably focus more on keeping the combat just similar and not try to you can add new moves and things like that for each assassin that you create, but I feel like you should have like a template. The counter system and the parry system, all that should still be kind of unified and the same across all of the games, right? And then you just have each of the assassins, you know, whatever their moves and abilities are and things like that. There's some things that are still common between all the assassins. Everybody has a sword, everybody has a hidden blade. Ubisoft can change up how each of them fight as far as their stance and style. The core mechanics should all still be the same across all the Assassin's Creed games. And I think that will actually improve their combat a little bit, amongst a few other things, but that's kind of like the major. At this point, I'll be honest, I don't expect the combat to be fluid at this point with Assassin's Creed games because they've consistently been different each Assassin's Creed game. If you're hoping maybe they get the combat right on this version, don't hold your breath. For this Assassin's Creed game, Assassin's Creed Mirage, they decided to kind of pay homage to the old ways of Assassin's Creed, basically kind of like the first 4 Assassin's Creed games. Before it got blown out full RPG open world, they kind of scaled it back. The game wasn't that long. This is probably one of the shortest Assassin's Creed games we've had in a while. The other Assassin's Creed game, Valhalla and Odyssey and Origin, you probably spent countless hours playing it. As far as the progression and gameplay features, the assassin that you play with in this one, his name is Basim. If you're familiar with him, he was in Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Because this Assassin's Creed is not that long, the skill tree it wasn't that robust. They've only broken it down into 3 sections, similar to kind of like the other ones where you have like your tactical section, your explorer section, and I think the other one was kind of like a melee or range section for all your range abilities. As far as the different weapon types, you have like your decoy bombs, you have obviously your throwing knives, you also have like a claymore type bomb that you can put out, and then when enemies get in proximity, it kind of goes off. Then you have like a blow dart where you can shoot and poison enemies and make them go berserk. Similar to like what's on the previous one. Like I said, wasn't a huge fan of the actual combat system in there. If I can avoid the combat, I typically choose to do that. Anytime I tried to fight the enemy, I took the stealth approach, right? Just to avoid the combat, because I'm like, I just didn't like the combat too much. So anytime that I encountered an enemy or situation like that, I always took a stealth approach. So let's try to get rid of the enemies with the least amount of conflict. In the game, you collect these different coins, and that's what you pay the merchants and mercenaries and everything like that to kind of do things for you. So when you want some mercenaries to distract a guard, you pay them a certain coin, and they will go and distract the guards for you. They have people who like sing songs on the street, playing their banjo or whatever that is. You pay them a certain special coin, and they'll do that. You got people in there who, it's a group of people, so if you pay them a coin, they will go and you can hide, blend in with them, and they will walk a path usually they kind of walk within an enemy base. So it's a way for you to get inside the base unnoticed. That was cool. A lot of times I didn't use them for that. It was just more so I either scale the walls if I can scale the wall. Some of the walls can't be scaled. But if I can scale the wall, I either went that route. Front door was rarely an option for me. Sometimes when you're going around the city and you have to pay or interact with different people, sometimes it can be a bit glitchy where it doesn't really pop up. You got to push like triangle to actually talk to somebody. Sometimes it won't pop up, and you got to rotate the camera to a certain angle degree facing them, and then it'll pop up. That can be a trouble sometimes, because when I'm in the middle, if I got enemies chasing me and I'm running trying to evade and escape, sometimes I will run past some mercenaries and I'm like, hey, I want to throw them a coin so they can attack the enemies to kind of distract them so I can get away. Sometimes it just doesn't pop up, and I gotta sit there for a minute, and then the enemy already caught up to me, and then they hit me in the back of the head and everything like that. I'm just like, that was annoying, because they tried to pay homage to the original Assassin's Creed trilogy. Basically, they have some of the similar, hide and haystacks. Those were cool. It was a bit nostalgia for me personally. Peak Assassin's Creed was the Ezio series. Like, I think those three was peak Assassin's Creed right there. I don't feel like they've captured the essence of Assassin's Creed since then. In just my personal opinion, I feel like the game, the RPG open world blown out element, I don't feel like it suits the Assassin's Creed franchise. The Assassin's Creed games now, like Odyssey, Origin, and Valhalla and all that, they're selling more Assassin's Creed games as far as sales compared to the original ones. But I mean, so it's kind of hard to tell them that, hey, this formula is not working. You need to go back to the old formula, when numbers don't lie, right? Like they're actually making sales. But me personally, I feel like what makes Assassin's Creed great and fun, I feel like the formula works well in a more condensed, smaller environment. Like when you was in Ezio and you was in Florence and France in that time period, in that Renaissance time period, the city and the environment worked well with what you were doing in the gameplay. So it made the game that much fun, whether you run through rooftops, hiding in your haystacks and everything like that. But even when, I ain't gonna lie, when they got to a point, I think that was Assassin's Creed Revelation, I think, when Ezio got to a point to where you can hire assassins. Like, you actually had like an army of assassins. It was part of your move set where you can actually call assassins, and like 2 or 3 of them will run up out of nowhere and attack your target. I thought that was dope. And you can constantly recruit new assassins. Like, those are the type of elements I feel like help make the game that much enjoyable to play. Then when you was playing Assassin's Creed, how you talked about like the Templars and everything like that, and actually referred to the assassin organization, right? I feel like now they rarely mention, they don't even mention Templars at this point in the franchise. And I think that they don't really mention, they don't refer to the assassin, like the Brotherhood, the organization, like that. Like, it's almost like we're nameless to a degree. And the Templars have become the hidden ones. So I'm like, yeah, it's cool, but I kind of miss the old ways to a degree. And that's not to say that the open world stuff doesn't work well, because when they did Black Flag was fire. And believe it or not, I actually like all the Assassin's Creed games. I have like a love-hate relationship with each of them, because I feel like, you shouldn't have did this, but I kind of like the rest of the stuff that you did. I hope they figure out a consistency on where they want to take the franchise. Now I feel like they're just kind of guessing and just trying random stuff with the franchise. It's really no direction. I think that's what is missing. When you had the first 4, 5, it's that all the way up until Desmond died, I think that's where Assassin's Creed was at its strongest. Where each game was connected as far as the outside of Desmond real world, right? The present time. Once they killed off Desmond, I feel like the series kind of left. In terms of graphics, the graphics of Assassin's Creed Mirage, they're not bad graphics. The graphics are good. Graphics look next gen. It's fine. Well, I wouldn't say the graphics look next gen, only because it is on the PS4 and the Xbox One. So the graphics are what they are. They're not horrible, but they're good. One of the cool things about Assassin's Creed Mirage is that, I guess because the game is so small per se, Ubisoft managed to produce a consistent 30 frames and 60 frames per second across all consoles. As far as the storyline goes, one thing that stood out to me with this one is the fact that they didn't do a real world scenario, right? Where it always shows a real world counterpart, getting hooked up to the Animus and becoming the assassin. This one, they didn't do that. It was just strictly assassin from beginning to end. Like I mentioned before, the storyline for this one is you play as the assassin Basim. And for those of you who have played Valhalla, he's in Valhalla. And actually at the end of Valhalla, it shows how he swapped with, I forgot the girl name in the real world, who was the main character in Valhalla. But you end up switching places with that person. And Basim is actually in the present now at the end of Valhalla. So that's interesting to see where the next one goes with that one, if they carry that on somehow. But this one is I wouldn't say it's a prequel, but it doesn't continue from Valhalla. It's actually just showing a backstory of Basim on how he became an assassin. Basim was actually a street thief for hire, so you kind of pay him and he just kind of live and steal. I feel like he kind of has like an influence of like Aladdin, right? How Aladdin was kind of a thief, and then until he got the genie and kind of changed his life. I like the story. It wasn't too long, like I mentioned before. He was the one of the only assassins who I've played with who've had like a trouble. He's been haunted by visions of his past or something like that, to a degree. When you play Assassin's Creed Origins and you played as Bayek, yeah, he was haunted by having his child die. Ubisoft didn't like focus on that too much. He's constantly haunted by that and he didn't want revenge, but it was what it was. He still had his wife there. In this one, Basim, he's haunted by something, but you don't really know what it is. So, and it's like what you call like a djinn or something like that hunts him in his dreams and nightmares, like some little crypt keeper looking thing. Usually if you played all the Assassin's Creed games and you have a loading screen, it's almost like you're in like a white room or something like that, like the Matrix kind of loading scenario type deal, and your assassin kind of runs around in like a blank space, typically like that, right? And I know over the years, like even Valhalla, it wasn't white anymore. It was kind of, I forgot the color it was, but whatever that space is, that loading screen space. So in this one, in the loading screen space, it's like a dark, gloomy scenario, and you kind of see like ghost figures like spread it out throughout the thing. And that's kind of where this little djinn crypt keeper person is that hunts him in his sleep. Anytime you assassinate your main assassin target, you know how it goes into like this little alternate world, and you kind of have like a personal conversation with them right before they die. Yeah, that whatever that world is, memory is, that's where this djinn crypt keeper person is. It started out with Basim. He was a street thief, still been haunted by these memories or these visions. He finds himself stealing something that the assassin order wants. In the beginning of the game, the first mission, you kind of kill a person by accident. You was trying to steal something, but you got caught, and then one thing led to another. When you kill them, you escape and you kind of leave behind your old life and join the assassin, and they kind of take you off, train you. You spent several years over there. You come back and you're seasoned now, you're assassin. And your best friend who was with you through all your street crimes and stuff like that, you kind of link back up with her. And just typical Assassin's Creed fashion, you go through, you gotta knock off certain targets, and everybody's looking for the artifact. That's similar to all the Assassin's Creed games. The enemies, the hidden ones, or the Templars or whatever, they're always searching for this Garden of Eden artifact. Later on we find out it's from like the Isu people. The crazy twist of the story is your master, the one who trained you up, it's similar to the first Assassin's Creed game. The one where you was Altair. You know how later, by the end of that game, the enemy was kind of, or your master was the enemy, was the boss, because he was kind of crooked, I guess, or went mad because of the artifact. Similar situation to this one, where by the end of the game, your master kind of turns on you. She's trying to keep you, I ain't gonna say blind to what's really going on, reality. They end up colliding at the end of the game and actually fighting. Bossum ends up realizing that the djinn or the crypt keeper thing that's haunting him was his own memory that he kind of, I can say he created, but he basically realized that and actually came grips with his past and everything that he was running for, and kind of just accepted like who he really is, and that basically kind of cleared up his memory and got rid of the djinn. The twist was the girl who basically your best friend who was with you through all your street crimes and everything like that, she was never there. She was all made up. She was an illusion. It was like, what? So by the end of the game, when they revealed that, I was like, wait, hold on, because then it went through and kind of replayed all like the little cutscene moments of you interacting with her and how she was never really there, and it was just really you by yourself. I was like, oh, that was a nice little twist. That's it with the story. Like I said, it was very short. They wanted to make the game shorter to kind of pay homage, because I guess a lot of folks were complaining that the game is too long, it's too many hours playing the game. And I ain't gonna lie, I've seen hundreds of hours in the previous ones, Valhalla, Odyssey, Origins. Yeah, those are getting crazy. So at this point in the review, it's time for the final judgment, whether it's trash, day one, or discount. And I think I'm gonna go with a discount. It's discount. I want to say day one, only because the game is not that long, but at the same time, I feel like there's a lot of elements missing from this that if you're an Assassin's Creed fan, you're missing out on. Like in terms of, I know some people don't like the real world aspect of the franchise, but I kind of like that personally. Kind of adds like a Matrix vibe to it. So that element was missing from it. Outside of the minor hiccups in the combat, I personally feel like the combat in this one is probably one of the worst. It's not the worst, but it's probably one. If I had to rank the combat system in all the Assassin's Creed games, this one would definitely be one of the bottom 5 for sure. Everything else was decent on it. I was like, for a $70 game, I don't know about a day one, but for sure discount. I don't think you'd be mad with it. It really feels like a DLC, to be honest with you. That's why I'm like, yeah, you can get it at a discount. Like, wouldn't be worth $70. And it's obviously not trash. That's it with this review. Be sure to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on upcoming reviews. Until next time.